Hi everyone, today we're going to continue to review expressions and algebraic equations. We're going to look a little bit more into word problems, and we're going to review some of our vocabulary words that help us identify the different parts of an equation in a word problem. Let's start by reviewing some of our important vocabulary words for this unit. A variable is a letter or symbol used to represent a number that may vary. In the example problem 4x plus 3, x is the variable. A coefficient is the number multiplied by a variable in an algebraic expression. So in 4x plus 3, the 4 is multiplied by the x, so the 4 is the coefficient. A constant is a quantity that does not change. So in this 4x plus 3, x is the constant because it does not change. It does not matter what x is, that 3 is going to remain a 3 for this equation. So we would say that that is independent from the 4x. The 4 and the x are dependent on each other because that product will change depending on what the x is. Our last vocabulary word is a term. A term is a number, variable, or product of numbers and variables. So in this problem, 4x plus 3, there are two terms. We have the term 4x, and we have the term 3. For our first practice problem, we're going to compare two equations, and we're going to compare their variables, coefficients, constants, and terms. Our first equation, equation A, says 2x plus 3y plus z minus 8. Equation B says 6x minus 2y times 4x. I want us to think, how many variables are in equation A and equation B? If you count, there are 3 variables in both A and B. They both have an x, they both have a y, and they both have a z. Now let's talk about the coefficients. How many coefficients are in A and how many coefficients are in B? Remember, coefficients are the numbers multiplied by a variable. Now this one's a little bit tricky. You might think that there are only 2 coefficients in equation A. You might think that there is the 2 and the 3. But there are actually 3 coefficients in that equation. I want you to think, if you can remember what coefficient is actually attached to the z. Hopefully you remembered that the z is technically being multiplied by a 1, so there are still 3 coefficients. In B, there are 3 coefficients because x is multiplied by 6, y is multiplied by 2, and z is multiplied by 4. So both of these equations have 3 coefficients. Next, let's look for constants. How many constants are in equation A and equation B? Now, constants are numbers that are not being multiplied by variables. So we only have one constant, and it's in equation A. It's 8. 8 is the only constant we see in either of these equations. Now let's look at their terms. How many terms do each equation have? Hopefully you counted 4 terms in equation A and 3 terms in equation B. In equation A, we have 2x, which is a term. We have 3y, which is another term. We have z, and then we have 8 to make up 4 different terms. And in equation B, we have 6x, which is a term, 2y, and 4z, which makes 3 terms. Now let's try some word problems. Our word problem for today: Miss Smith is renting movies from an online rental website. The website rents each movie for 99 cents. To join the website, they charge you a $20 one-time joining fee. Write an expression to show how much Miss Smith spends on movies. So I want D to be dollars and M to be movies. Before we start, let's identify some keywords. I have found that each movie is an important thing to remember, and each movie is going to cost 99 cents. Then there is a $20 one-time joining fee. Now $20 is independent of the 99 cents. $20 is always going to be what you have to pay in order to join the website. Doesn't matter how many movies you rent. If you want to join that website, you have to pay $20 to start. 99 cents, though, is dependent on how many movies you're going to watch. That number might go up a bunch if you rent a bunch of movies. So to start, I want to find out how much she spends on movies. So I'm going to have the dollars equals, and now I need to find my equation. Take a second to think about what the equation should be and what operations you might need to do. Based on this, it sounds like we're going to need to do some multiplication and some addition. It's going to cost $20 to start, and then 99 cents for every single movie. So I need to multiply 99 cents times M, because M represents the number of movies I'm going to rent. I don't know how many I'm going to rent yet, but I'll count them up eventually one day and figure out how much I spent total. Now I'm going to add my 99 cents times M to $20 because that's how much it costs to start. So the equation is 20 plus 0.99 times M. Now I want us to think, what number is the constant? What number is the coefficient? How many terms are there? And how many variables? In this equation, 20 is our constant. It is not going to change no matter how many movies we rent. 99 cents is the coefficient because that's what we multiply by M. That's what we multiply by the number of movies. There are two terms in the equation that make up D. And there are two variables. We have D, we don't know how much money we spent yet, and we have M, we don't know how many movies we're going to rent yet. Lastly, I want us to solve an equation. So evaluate 6x minus 7y divided by 3 if x equals 4 and y equals 6. Let's start by replacing our variables with the numbers that are given. So now we have 6 times 4 minus 7 times 6 divided by 3. Let's think, what's our first step in order of operations? We're going to need to start by working with our parentheses or working with our multiplication. So I need to do 6 times 4, which equals 24, and I need to do 7 times 6, which equals 42. Now our equation reads 24 minus 42 divided by 3. What comes next? Subtraction or division? Take a minute to think and solve the rest of the problem. Then continue the video once you're ready to check your answer. The next step was to divide. We need to do 42 divided by 3 before we do the subtraction. 42 divided by 3, well I know that 30 divided by 3 is 10, and 12 divided by 3 is 4, so it must be 14. Now my equation is 24 minus 14, and that's going to be our last step. 24 minus 14 equals 10. Hopefully you guys are feeling a little bit more confident and comfortable with our vocabulary words and different expressions and identifying the equation in a word problem. Have a great day.